day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, quarantining from Salt Lake City today, and today I'm joined by Dan from band Khemmis. How are you doing, Dan?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you joining us from?
I'm quarantined here in Denver.
Are you? Nice. So not too far away from me.
No, not at all.
Just on the other side of the Rockies.
That's right. It's a long drive
It
over those
is.
Rockies,
It is. So,
especially when you leave in the morning and you have to play a show in Salt Lake that evening,
and
which
I'm
I've
guessing
done
you're
a
speaking
lot.
from experience.
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. So how has life changed for you since the shit hit the fan all over the world?
Um, it's so funny that a lot of people have asked me that, and I have been super busy with work, like to the point where for the first like week, I couldn't go anywhere anyway because I was working so much. I was working like 70-hour weeks. Um, so it didn't hit me until kind of last week, but also last week I was super busy with work too. Um, so that is very bizarre that it hasn't changed much for me when I'm in crazy work mode.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, my kids around a lot, which is good and also tough. It's tough to focus on work because she needs some entertainment or guidance or interaction.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise for me, it hasn't been too catastrophic. Um, I've been really lucky. I'm fortunate, unlike a lot of people who can't go to work
Yeah.
and can't work from home. I'm lucky to be busy and have work, at least for now.
Yeah. So how old's your daughter?
She is 11.
Oh, so she would be home anyway because of I'm guessing the schools are all closed down out there.
Right. So technically this week is spring break.
Oh, okay.
But she's had the previous 2 weeks off too.
So every week is
Um,
spring break.
every week is spring break, and now they're not going back to school um,
Oh, okay.
for the foreseeable future. They're going to start online teaching next week. So it's been, I mean, I guess shouldn't say I haven't been affected. It's been real interesting. Um, I really feel bad for the service industry people and all the people out there who just rely on customers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's super hard to even imagine what they must be going through. And similarly, musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fortunate enough to have a day job, um, but when our when tours and festivals are canceled that we have planned that we're counting on, some of the guys in our band, um, and including me, I mean, I'm counting on that income as well, but some of them really need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just our band. I mean, it's every band.
Yeah.
I feel terrible, for those smaller bands who have to cancel tours and by smaller, I don't mean smaller than us. I mean like smaller than like Metallica, who's fine. I mean bands like our size,
Yeah.
and even bigger, that are that's their livelihood. Making music for them is not only about making music, but also about paying their bills. So
I mean,
it's
I don't know what you saw, but I mean, I saw Lars on the corner this morning begging for money with a sign that we'll play drums for food today. So I mean, Metallica is hurting, I think.
I missed that one.
So let's talk about your guys' new EP that's coming out called Doomed Heavy Metal on April
Okay.
17th, right?
Yep.
How was there? So are these all? I mean, with the exception of the Ronnie James Dio song, were the other two songs, were they new songs or were they songs that you had previously in your catalog?
Um, I guess B, although it was a little bit different. So the out of the recorded songs, obviously not the live tracks, the Empty Throne tune we did for Decibel Magazine's Flexi
Mm-hmm.
series.
Okay.
And so the only way you could have that song previously is if you have a Flexi subscription, and you received Decibel in the mail, and then that was the only way that song was available. So, so it was in our catalog, but only in the sense that it was out there on flexi disc. And then the other song, "Conversation with Death," we did as a split with a band called Spirit Adrift.
Okay.
And that was kind of not a big pressing. I want to say that was pre-Hunted.
Okay.
Or maybe it was post-Hunted. I can't remember when we did that, but it was kind of a small release, just the 7-inch that we sold at shows, and I think Spirit did, and there's probably a place to get it online. But for a long time, that song wasn't available either. And then until recently, we had shared that song with a video game, and the video game kind of got a lot of attention, and there was a lot of reviews, and it was like highly anticipated. And
nice.
the song was in the credits, was the main credit theme, and in their video game trailer, which doesn't mean a lot to me because I don't play video games, but it was apparently a big deal.
That's cool though. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So that song's kind of been out there, at least in the digital format, but it was never released on vinyl. And so that's what a lot of this release is about, is getting those two tracks and finding a vinyl home for them, so to speak. And then the Dio song we did because A, we needed more material.
Yeah.
And B, it would just seem like a really fun, cool thing to do. Like, we're not a covers band.
Mm-hmm.
Even though "Conversation from Death" is technically a cover, it's an Appalachian dirge that we found, that's been out there. So we turned that into a metal song, which is kind of interesting. But I wouldn't call it a cover in the traditional sense because, it's pretty much us.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Dio song was just a great opportunity to not only fill in some space on this record, but also to pay homage to the master.
Yeah. Were
James Dio.
Were you guys worried at all when you did that song? I mean, because you guys did a great job covering it, but it's such an iconic song. Were you worried a little at all about what your fans or Dio fans were going to think? Or did you just not give a shit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some thought. The big thing is you want to pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
we don't want to screw up a great song. So I guess our concern would be more with Dio fans and more importantly, the Dio's family, because you don't want to massacre his song. And when you approach something like that, the main concern is, you don't want to change it too much,
mm-hmm.
but you don't want to. But unless you're doing this, and no one has too much interest in just like, us trying to sound exactly like Dio's band from 80 whatever. So you still want to make it your own. So that is a kind of a fine line, but that's a line that we didn't tread because of our concern about like how other people would think. It's because of us and how we respect Dio and that song and just their art in general. And then the other concern is Dio's arguably the best rock singer ever.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have pipes, you shouldn't try it. And I'm so still to this moment blown away at what Phil was able to do with that song. I won't say, no one can hold a candle to Dio, but I can say with certainty that he did not screw it up. And I think he did it a service, and his performance on that was, I don't know. I mean, I'm biased, of course, right? But I don't know, man. He nailed it.
No, I would agree with you 100%. He definitely nailed it, and I just was curious. That's why I was just curious, because he did such a good job. I think the nice thing about it is people are going to hear that song that might not be Khemmis fans, and they might say, hey, there's this band that did this cover of a Dio song. I love Dio. And so they might go out and actually check you guys out and then get sucked into you guys, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we thought about that would be a great, path for maybe older heavy metal guys who get turned off maybe by some of the more extreme metal that was coming through. Like, and I know a lot of guys in the kind of like previous generation who were like big metalheads, but when it kind of trended toward heavy vocals, a lot of them backed away and kind of stayed in their new wave of British heavy metal box. And so I think that Khemmis actually probably does have a lot to offer those people, because we have largely, most of our singing is clean singing. So yeah, I mean, that certainly wasn't lost on us, that possibility. We didn't do the song with that in mind. We did it because it's a kick-ass song and we thought it would be fun to do.
Yeah.
But hopefully that works. Hopefully it brings some more people to Khemmis, and if they dig this song, maybe they'll dig some of the other stuff that we're doing.
So what you said was exactly, I mean, true for me, in the fact that I'm an 80s guy and I grew up in the 80s, so that kind of vocals was my kind of vocals. And so, you guys were great because you don't have, I got turned off by that heavy, I call it Cookie Monster vocals, and
Sure.
and I just didn't like it, but now I'm growing more accustomed to it. But you guys aren't that, so it was the easy switch for me to just go, oh yeah, this is great.
Cool.
So,
yeah. No, I'm of the same generation, and that being, and I honestly, out of everyone in the band, I'm probably the one with the kind of the least extreme metal. I go to that less than probably some of the other guys. So, yeah, when Ben suggested we do this song, I was like, done.
yeah.
And also,
Got it.
I'll make no mistake, the bass parts are pretty easy on this song.
Yeah.
So it was going to be a good one, an easy one to put together for me.
So the live tracks, where did those all come from?
Well, it was, I believe, I honestly can't remember what was the chicken or the egg. I don't know if the idea to put the Empty Throne and Conversation with Death out and join it with other songs came first, or if it was like, let's record live and then do this thing. But the live recordings, I mean, the album concept really was born out of ZZ Top's Fandango.
Oh, okay.
Where, side A is live,
yeah,
and side B is recorded tracks. And we just thought, as soon as we knew we had to do those, we had to get those other two songs out somehow. The idea was born, like we're gonna do Fandango. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
That's cool.
And yeah, so that was, I think that was part of it. Or frankly, I can't remember if we decided like, hey, let's just get a good recording. I'm pretty sure it was all about this like half live, half recorded album.
Oh, okay.
So it was really cool. A guy in a local venue here in town that just has always done really cool shows. We worked it out with him where we would do 2 nights, totally different, 100% different sets, and we would record them, and we recorded them, for this purpose. And we had a lot of material. I mean, in 2 nights, 2-hour sets, or they're not, 2 1-hour sets.
Yeah.
And some change. We played damn near everything we had. So it was hard to pare it down, especially when you have such long songs.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, that was the live stuff was really recorded for this effort in an attempt to release our Fandango.
Nice. And then when we were talking about now that we're talking about live stuff, you guys were set to do Europe just next month, or in April, right?
Right, in a few weeks. No, maybe just a couple few weeks. And yeah, that's a bummer, man. That was what I was talking about with us. I mean, we want to do it because we want to get out there and share share music with audiences that we hadn't shared it with before. And God, playing Desert Fest in London, I mean, it's like a dream for
Yeah.
me, honestly. I love London. I love that festival. It's just such a major um, disappointment's not the word, obviously, but it's like, I mean, it's a hard reality for us and
Yeah.
a lot of bands. And they're rescheduling that, and maybe we can make it work, but who knows? I mean, there's just a lot of other things going on.
Yeah. And then
And
you guys are
and
set up for Psycho Las Vegas too, right?
we are.
And then,
Um,
I mean, I haven't heard anything about that yet, thank God. Because that's not till
right.
August.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. And,
Yeah. There's a festival here in May, not here, but in Taos, New Mexico, that we were really looking forward to, called Monolith on the Mesa.
uh-huh.
Uh, and that, we're not going to be able, they've postponed that. Um, it really puts, not only is it economically difficult for bands, but it's hard to, there's a release coming out, like for instance, during this thing, and obviously people aren't going to be going to their local record stores to pick it up. I think it was supposed to be on Record Store Day.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, which is canceled. I'm not sure if that was the 17th or if we kind of moved it around or whatever,
Yeah.
but it was originally supposed to be on Record Store Day. So that's, on that big event, and where everyone's hopes was that, people pick up the new album and they enjoy it. So
Yeah.
it's just looking really different and not real good for, again, people who make music. It's tough when you can't share it, It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so obviously buying your guys' new album, Doomed Heavy Metal, is a good way to support you guys. What other ways can fans support you guys? I mean,
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, we love for people to, spin our records. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things about being in this band is it's very like albums record centric. And they can go to $20 spin and order it, and Dave is still shipping out records.
nice,
So
nice.
people do that, and we have a merch store online. If people can feel like they need a new Khemmis t-shirt, that certainly wouldn't hurt. But I think mostly, if just when this passes and we can leave the house again, come out to the shows and live life with us.
Yeah.
That's I think the best way for music to be shared is in person.
Yeah.
And when you can't
Yeah.
when you can't go closer than 6 feet to someone, it makes it pretty tough. So yeah, I mean, we really appreciate you and everyone who's interested in talking to us about the new album, and all the fans who are excited about it, and hopefully we'll see them at the next Khemmis show when we roll through town.
So my other question for you is what is a song by Khemmis, by title or by content, that best describes the state of the world right now?
Well, Isolation, I think, fits pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
Even though it's not necessarily about the kind of isolation we are talking about, it is a kind of a doomsday love story. So I think that fits also. Yeah. From Ruin, I mean, honestly, we have a lot of our songs are pretty bleak, man.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. If you've lost someone during this, during this epidemic, The Bereaved may work for you.
Yeah.
And that's a live version of that's on the new release. So we got all sorts of dark stuff to get you through the hard times.
So what you're saying is Khemmis is a soundtrack for the pandemic.
That's right. We are the house band of the apocalypse.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. So so since we were on the subject a little earlier about 80s and hair bands and stuff, and since that was your kind, I'm just curious as to if you can give me like your top 5 albums from the 80s, the heavy metal albums.
It's funny because I grew up in the 80s, but even then, as far as like rock and roll and heavy metal, I wasn't really a hair metal guy. I mean, I know, and I'm not saying that because I'm trying to like make myself sound cool. I cop to all sorts of dumb shit. Don't, I mean, like I love Simple Minds, the
Yeah.
80s pop band,
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid to own the music, the questionable music I like. But yeah, 80s metal stuff. I mean, I love Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
They obviously were making music in the 80s. Um, I even love Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, which has keyboards on it, and it came out in 1988. And I thought I think it was 88.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest thing ever for me. So I mean, basically Iron Maiden albums through the 80s. Power Slave is in 80s. I
Yeah.
mean, they're all, Iron Maiden might have the top 5
Okay.
metal albums, but of the 80s. But also like I love early Judas Priest, but
Yeah.
but my favorite is like Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. Those are 80s albums.
Yep.
So those are terrific. But as far as the hair metal stuff, I didn't even, dude, I swear to God, I didn't even like Guns N' Roses when it came out.
Really? Okay.
Paradise City, pretty good tune, and the rest I was like, I can live without this shit. It's kind of, you know what? I will say when I was in junior high school, the first 2 Skid Row records I thought were really good.
Yeah.
And I wore those tapes out.
Yeah. Funny story is I had some family that lived in Denver, and I went to a mall in Denver, and I can't remember which one it was, but was it Inglewood? There's a mall there?
There's a town called Inglewood. I don't know if there's a mall. Probably.
Anyway, I bought Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance cassette there, and it was when they had the 1-year guarantee on them, and I still have that cassette with that 1-year guarantee inside of it.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
From Denver.
Yeah, I definitely wore out a bunch of tapes in the 80s. I mean, I liked Metallica in the 80s when they were only available on cassette, and I thought, as I'm sure you did, these guys will never be on the fucking radio.
Yep.
Right? And now they're like on the classic rock stations.
Yep.
It's so mind-blowing. But I was into all the, like, I liked Anthrax a lot. I was really into Testament. But like Poison and that kind of stuff. What's another one? Warrant.
Yeah, Warrant.
I can't think. Motley Crue. None of that was for me, man.
I mean, you never had a date that you picked up and she said, "Hey, do you got any Poison?"
No, thank God, I did not have that dating experience. I definitely danced to Every Rose Has Its Thorn at the school dance, though.
Well, that was a slow dance, so you had to. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you weren't going to get any if you didn't dance to that.
So you plug your ears and you dance. So
that's right.
Well, Dan, I appreciate your time, and everybody out there, go check out you guys' new album, Doomed Heavy Metal, because it's a great album, and it comes out on the 17th, and it's gonna blow you away. So
cool, man. Well, I'm glad you dig it, and I hope people enjoy it, and it was a really unique thing for us. So we're excited about it, and hopefully it's hard to say that Khemmis will lift your spirits, but it does have that effect on some people. So, cool. Well,
thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, and we'll be in touch soon. And I look forward to you making that drive over the Rockies into Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we'll see you next time we're there.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You too.